Hello and welcome to another episode of Hollie's Hot Takes, where tonight I am joined by my fabulous co-host Wes. Wes, how are you tonight?
Yeah, still feeling in the rough zone, so to speak. But yeah, obviously not one to miss the best show that goes live on a YouTube per week. So yeah, I have tried to dose myself up, tried to pass a fitness test, if you like. But yeah, all ready to talk all things Spurs with you once again, Holly.
Like I say, the dedication you have, Wes, after the day you probably had, all the excitement and things, I do really appreciate it. I hope it all went well as well.
Yeah, no. So for those that don't know, I was up in Manchester today. I studied up there for university. So yeah, they kindly invited me back to be on a guest panel with other alumni. There was some like recruiters there, just sort of obviously telling people about their companies and things like that and what they do, what job offers they have. And I also got to hear from the Manchester United director of football, Mr. John Murtagh. So he was the guest speaker today. But no, I had a really good day, and I got to show off my awards that I won a few months ago as well. I took that on a little trip to Old Trafford. So yeah, no, I've had a good day, and this is going to top it off 100%.
Love that, man. Like I say, more trophies than Spurs at the minute, but hopefully Ange Ball this year is going to bring it home. As you can all tell as well, I think I'm glitching a little bit, but just ignore that. But Wes, we've got a lot to talk about as well at the fact obviously beating Luton at the weekend. So I just wanted to kind of get your first thoughts on how that game went for you and what you make of it.
Yeah, I think two parts. I think the first half was really frustrating. We should have probably been about 4-0 up inside 20 minutes. And for anybody that hasn't watched the game, that is not an exaggeration, by the way. We could have easily been 3 up in 10 as well. And I think it just highlights our need for a top-class centre-forward. If a certain Mr. Kane was at Kenilworth Road, I think on Saturday, he would have bagged all 4 of those chances, and then Basuma just being a complete idiot, to be honest. I don't know what he's thinking for the first foul, his first yellow, and then the second one is just abysmal. So yeah, I think that then changed it, but then obviously Luton were bound to have a little bit of a spell in the game. Obviously they're the home side, down to obviously we were down to 10 men at that point, so had the man advantage. But I think after we weathered that storm, you wouldn't really know which team had 10 men, which is a big credit not only to Ange but to the rest of the lads that were on the pitch, and things like that. And then lovely little finish from Daddy Longlegs, as you call him. So yeah, I was just really pleased to get the win, because I think Spurs teams in years gone by wouldn't have seen the job through. So I think that was the more pleasing thing for me. It would have been a case of, right, we draw away to Arsenal, we beat Liverpool, and then it comes to somewhere like Luton away and we would have crumbled. So I think that's showing a different side to this team and a different mentality to what we've had before.
Oh, 100. I think that's the thing. Like I said, it was nice for Daddy Longlegs to obviously get his first goal for Tottenham, and in that great fashion as well from Madders. But like I say, it's one of those games where in the past you would have thought, we're probably going to lose this one, but we haven't. And it also means that we are sitting pretty at the top, doesn't it, Wes? I mean, are you letting yourself get a bit carried away, or are you still playing it cool at the minute?
I'm seriously not. I think everybody else is kind of going, oh, Wes, you must be buzzing. Spurs are top. It's like, yes, it's great to have to be top of the league in this moment, given what's happened and what's gone on with the club, going through a massive transition, big rebuild, new manager, losing his star player, everything like that. But I think Anne just said it on a couple of occasions. It's nothing. It means nothing being top now. You want to be first in May, when it really matters. I still think, I was actually having this conversation with a couple of people the other day, I still think for us, top 6 is a bloody good season. I still think that is a bloody good season, given again all that sort of upheaval we've had over the summer, and everything else. So I still think top 6 would be a remarkable achievement. I think now most people or fans of other teams have worked out what we're about. And again, even speaking to some of the people at the event that I was at today, they're saying you're a shoo-in pretty much for the top 4. They're putting us in there with Liverpool, Arsenal, and obviously City. and they're obviously fans of all different teams as well. So I think it's nice for us to be in that mix and in that conversation at this stage. But yeah, I'm trying to keep things realistic, and keep my feet on the ground, if you like, and make sure that we're not going to get too ahead of ourselves just yet. But it is a nice feeling at the moment, I have to say.
It is really weird. Oh, I mean, I say it is weird. It is nice to have that feeling to be at the top, but it's also strange that the amount of high praise we're getting from other teams and other pundits. Do you think there's like well, that sounds horrible, but do you think there's an evil nature at work? Kind of like what happened with Arsenal last season, where they were bigging them up, praising them, and then they're waiting for it all to go wrong. Do you think that's the case with the media, or do you think that's just media in general?
I think that is definitely the case. You look at when we had Pochettino, and pundits, the media loved Pochettino. They loved the team that he built and that he created, and it was a case of, well, can Tottenham get over the line and win a trophy? And then it was like every passing year under Poch, when it didn't happen, it was like, well, Spurs have got this great team, but all the style but no substance to go with it. I have a feeling that may come relatively soon. I don't think yet, because Ange is still building the team. I think it will maybe be next season or the following year, kind of into year 3, where it will be a case of like, right, you've got this manager now who plays this brand of football that is really attractive, really easy on the eye. What's going to go with it? So I think it will take a good couple of years, I think, before those talks, I want to say, of a trophy. I mean, they do bring it up to Ange every now and then, but I think when Lineker interviewed him on Football Focus, he said, look, it's not a case of winning a trophy for the sake of it. There's no point in that. I want to build something more than that. And I think that resonated a lot with Spurs fans that obviously watched the interview. It certainly resonated with me, because that tells me that he's here for the long term, and he wants to be here for the long term. And it's not a case of like, right, got to get in, get a trophy over the line, and then once I've done that, it's like, right, I've done my job, see you later, lads.
No, it is nice to, like you say, to have a manager that you think is actually here long term, rather than we all thought we'd get a manager in, win us a trophy, happy days, move on to the next thing. But no, I think, like you said, I think the media like to ask those questions to Ange. I think Ange is very good at kind of not palming them off, but just be like, actually, hang on, the fans can enjoy it, but we've still got lots to do here, which I think is really nice. Apologies to everybody watching. I am very glitchy. Last week I worked from home, and I think I dropped the camera on my desk, hence why I'm all over the gaff. But hopefully you can hear me all right. Hopefully you can see and hear Wes okay. Wes, I think we've got a guest coming on shortly, but I'm going to pose to you another question before that happens. Obviously, we've got a little bit of a break now. We're all crossing our fingers and hoping that there's going to be no injuries in this international break. But obviously, the fixtures coming up, they look, what's the word? I don't want to say tasty, but obviously it's Fulham. It feels like we need to be able to get back onto winning ways, obviously, after losing to them in the Cup. We then obviously have Palace. I think I've got this around the right way. And then we have Chelsea. Now, for me, Chelsea is the one that I don't want to think about just yet. But that man, Poch, obviously, it's going to be an interesting game, isn't it?
Yeah, I think obviously naturally that's the one that's standing out in the calendar. But we've got 2 tricky games before then. Fulham haven't quite clicked yet, I want to say. I think they had a decent result against Sheffield United, I want to say, at the weekend. But everybody's turning over Sheffield United at the minute. But yeah, that might be their catalyst to kickstart their season, because they did really, really well last year, Fulham. And then not a lot for them really had changed from when they came up from the Championship. Yes, they brought in Bert Leno, really shrewd bit of business. Paulinho in midfield, beast of a midfield player. Willian was unbelievable for them last season, hasn't really clicked just yet. They obviously had Mitrovic at the top end, he's now gone. You're looking at Jimenez, hasn't quite hit the ground running as of yet. It could be a day for Delicious Vinicius, as you used to call him, I want to say. He might have a point to prove. I felt sorry for him, actually, when he was at Spurs, old Vinny. And I say that because every time he came in, he'd done a half-decent job for me. His role was to, I wouldn't say be a backup to Kane, but be a squad player and make the most of the opportunities when he got them. I want to say there was maybe one game where he didn't really make the most of it, and that was Chelsea at home in the lockdown sort of season. But then we were abysmal that night. We were pathetic. So that was a whole team thing. It wasn't down to him for me. But yeah, going away to Palace, always tricky for us. We always struggle there. They might have Eze and Elise back by then as well. That'd be sod's law. But then Palace have got a few injuries. Obviously, Schlupp went off at the weekend as well. So we might, depending on how their injury situation is, Palace, we might be facing them at a half decent time. And then, like you say, the big one, the return of the Poch at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I can't wait for that. I think though the fans' reaction will be based off of what he says in his pre-match interview, because if he comes in with a bit of dignity, which I firmly believe MP does, he's got a lot of dignity. But if he is complimentary, if you like, about his time at Tottenham, I think the fans will be like, okay, he's still, enjoyed being a Tottenham manager. He still has some form of connection with the club, everything like that. If he then starts going on about dismissive, I'm Chelsea now, I am fully he's getting booed. He's getting booed 100%. So yeah, I think that's the feeling that I've got with him in terms of what the atmosphere towards him will be like in the ground.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting one, like you say. I know Kevin said here, and James has said as well, about obviously Basuma being a silly Billy at the weekend. Who kind of comes in for you in these next kind of fixtures?
I would love to say Oliver Skip, because I think he is probably one of the most unappreciative players within our fan base. Before his big injury, he was our player of the season. And I think a lot of people have short memories of that. He's not a bad footballer. Like, he is not a bad footballer at all. If he was that bad, he'd have been shipped out by now, trust me. Or he wouldn't have gone all the way through the academy from 9, right the way up into the first team. I can assure you of that as well. I would love it to be Oliver Skip. I can see it being Højbjerg, but Højbjerg frustrates me.
He frustrates a lot of the fan base.
Watching him in the second half at Luton, and he's going like this, like calm down, and I'm there like, Højbjerg, stop what you're doing, get on the ball and get us playing. Like, stop telling everybody else to calm down. You crack on what you got to do, and like I say, get us playing, get us ticking over, and everything else. So yeah, I have a feeling it will be Højbjerg, but if it was me, I would personally prefer Oliver Skip.
No, that's a fair shout. I think, like you say, I wouldn't say underappreciated, but like you say, us Spurs fans do have very, very short-term memory loss, I think, because Skippy was decent for us. But I think where we've had the luxury of watching Basuma and Sarr, it's kind of like Skippy just doesn't cut the mustard at the moment. But then again, has he really had a fair chance to be able to cut the mustard, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think obviously when he properly sort of broke into the team, when Nuno was there, like I say, he was our young player of the year. And you get glowing references from managers like Mourinho and Conte. They've been around the block enough to know a good player, especially Jose. And when you have Jose coming out and saying you are the future of Tottenham, you can be a future captain, that speaks volumes. Jose is very rarely wrong about a player. So yeah, I think he was just really. I think that injury came at the worst time for him as well. Because he was literally just starting to cement his place within the team, not the squad, the team. And I think that, yeah, like I say, it was an absolute killer for him. I was gutted for him because, like I say, he was playing really, really well. And it was nice to see kind of one of your own coming through and playing in the first team, but playing well and impacting games in a good way. Because there's so many times where you see players that come in and it's like, I'll just keep it nice and simple, and then when the going gets tough, they try and hide. Whereas Skippy was always brave enough to want to get on the ball, even in tight situations. Even when the team were playing bad, he still wanted to play, and I think that's a big testament to his character as well. So, like I say, I think he's a cracking little player, and I personally think we're quite lucky to have him, because I know there's a lot of teams potentially in the league that would love to have him. You speak to any Norwich fan, and they will tell you what he was like there. They were wishing that the club would spend 30 million just to make it a permanent move, and stuff like that. So I would love to see him now potentially get, well, certainly that starting place against Fulham, and then if he takes that chance and makes himself a little bit undroppable, then who knows from there.
I think the thing is with Ange, it's almost like he gives players opportunities to prove that they are worth a position in the starting 11. Because I think for me that the real change I've seen in the squad is the fact that they leave nothing on that pitch. It's like against the Luton game, and I know we've said it multiple times, but it is a trend. We keep battling till the end, don't we?
Yeah, I think that comes from his time in particular at Celtic. He had the phrase of "we don't stop." We stop at half time, we stop at full time to celebrate, and he's bringing that mentality to Tottenham. And Maddison has said on numerous occasions that Ange is a manager that you'd run for a brick wall for. So and Maddison's played under some half decent managers himself. So again, for him to come out and say that about Ange Postecoglou is fantastic.
Definitely, 100%. But like I said, we've got a lot of games coming up, and it is quite nice to obviously sit here and, like we say, be top of the league. And it is funny as well that obviously we are. I know we're not joint top of Arsenal, but they are very, very close behind us. It's nice to see, without having my Tottenham head on, to see that North London is the place to be currently, isn't it?
If you're on one half of it. One half of it.
I was trying to be like a balanced view, but it's not really working.
Listen, Uncle Albert's not on tonight, so we don't need to be balanced. But yeah, no, it's nice. I think it's just nice for us as Spurs fans at the minute to have a team that we want to go and watch, and we're excited to watch. And Arsenal have been doing their thing for I'll say a little while, what, a season and a little bit, because they all wanted Arteta out before last season. So yeah, they think they are God's gift again because they've had one decent season in about 7 or 8. So yeah, look, I'm just, like I say, I'm happy that we are going in a good direction. And what I like is that Ange is almost good at just going, right, let people talk around us, let's just focus on ourselves and try and go unnoticed and under the radar as much as possible. And do you know what? I think that's suiting the players down to an absolute T at the minute.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we've kind of needed this kind of atmosphere at Tottenham, not just for the players, but I think also for the fans. Because like you mentioned, it's the first time in a long time that I've had a connection back with Tottenham. I don't know if that's the case with you.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, yeah, it's a bit of a shame now because we don't have like the European games, because it's that opportunity to not only go and see the people that you sit with, but another opportunity to watch Ange ball in full flow. Like, who wouldn't want an extra bit of Ange ball in their life? Like in and around where I sit, Hollie, as you know, built up some good friends over there, and with this one game a week, and then you have an away game, and it feels like forever since you've seen them, whereas it was sometimes twice, 3 times a week. That you would be seeing like these people that you're sitting with and everything else, whereas now it feels a lot longer, everything feels a lot more drawn out. So I genuinely don't know, fans of other clubs that don't have Europe, like, please, if they want to jump on, Hollie, like, get them on, because I want to know how they do it, because it's been a while, I think, since we've been used to not having European football. It's taken a bit of getting used to, I have to say, and I'm not a massive fan of it, I have to say.
No, like you said, I think it's weird because obviously we all want to be in Europe, but it's kind of like a blessing in disguise because we've got that added grace of having that week's rest, if that makes sense. I just want to pull up Anthony's comment. Thank you so much for donating, Anthony. I feel really bad if the link's not working. So I've just whacked it in the chat for you to be able to click on it. Obviously, I'm not using StreamYard anymore. So have a go. It should be the same sort of thing. But thank you so much for the super chat. I feel so bad. Thank you, Anthony. But obviously I want to go back because this is a great, before we get Anthony on, hopefully he is able to get in and log in. Yeah. Derek has brought this up. He said, not being disrespectful, but how do you think we will do after a loss in the next game or games coming up? Because it's true, we haven't really seen a loss yet. And I know I don't want to talk negatively while it's so positive, but Do you think it's going to be interesting to see how fans, the club, and the players kind of react if we do get a loss soon?
It will definitely be interesting because, like you say, we haven't really seen it yet, and usually by this point we would have. I think as a fan, you can take losing to a certain degree if you have either been beaten by the better team. So, for example, if we lose to City, you go, well, fair enough, it's Man City. Best players in the world, best team in the league, all of that kind of stuff. And the other way is if you feel like your team have had a go and you've not quite done it, because you go, well, there's still some positives that you can take out of the game. Whereas when the trade-off with a Conte and a Mourinho is that if you're bringing them in to play that style of football, they have to win. For fans of Tottenham in particular, they have to win, because if they don't win, it's like, well, what's the point? What's the point? Because we have been brought up as fans to play in a certain, our teams have to play in a certain way. And I think it will be interesting now to see the dynamic of the fan base in particular, as to, like you say, when we do, if we do lose a game, we will lose games this season. There's no doubt about that. But it'll be interesting to see what the fan base reaction to it is, whether we'll go down this blame game route of, oh, it's Levy, it's the players, it's the manager, well, we've had them excuses now for a while. Let's just accept that it's a defeat, and okay, we're still learning and we're still on this, vast journey. Let's just put it down as a bump in the road, and we're going to have many bumps in the roads. It's going to be happening. It's natural.
Sorry, carry on.
No, but I was just going to say there's going to be bumps in the road. That's natural. Do you know what I mean? So I think Ange and the players will be, I want to say, relatively all right with it. I think it depends on when that next game is, because I think this again could be where the European games could have come in handy, because if we'd have lost the game, we then have a European game to almost put a league defeat right. Whereas if say, for example, if we did lose on Saturday, well, that defeat's now stewing on us for 2 weeks. And then we've got to try and bounce back after not only an international break, but a defeat as well. So yeah, I think the timing of the next game is important, because players want to put it right as quickly as they can.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think it's a great point, and it's a great question from Derek as well, because it's one of those, because I think the season started so well. We were yet to experience a loss under Ange, and it's I don't know how some fans are going to take it. But it'd be interesting to see. Now, Anthony is in the studio. I'm not sure if he's got his camera fixed. So we'll whiz him in, and we'll see if he is there or not. Let's have a go. Hello, Anthony. Hello, Anthony. Calling Anthony. I don't think
Anthony, are you there?
Bless him. I don't think he's there.
We can't hear you. We can't see you.
Is he there?
Anthony, you are live on Big Brother. Please do not swear.
Bless him. I'm going to hide him and see if he can fix it. I mean, at least he's in the stream now. So there we go.
No one can see him and no one can hear him, Hollie.
I mean, he's there in spirit, though.
It's literally like somebody's at home. No one's in, but the lights are on. No one's in, but the lights are on.
I'm going to hide him. Me with my laggy camera. Anthony, bless him, that his camera and his thing not working. Oh, it's a day, man. Hopefully he will be with us shortly. Because Anthony, was it last week? He gave us some amazing, or the week before, he gave us some amazing comments. I would really like to get him on. And obviously I feel really bad now because he's also sent a super chat to the chat. I'm blaming the new software. But Wes, I was going to say, obviously, we've spoken about the games coming up. We've spoken about a loss, this, that, and the other. With your personal thoughts, I've probably asked you this before, but were you expecting to be this high flying at the start of the season?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't think many Spurs fans, if any, if they were being really true to themselves, apart from probably Luke, because he was on the Ange train before anybody else. He got his early bird ticket for that. But yeah, I don't think many of us had any kind of expectations really going into the season. It was a case of like, okay, new manager, rebuild project, best player's gone out the door. We'll see what happens, I guess. But yeah, I think the what Ange has done has been more than I think anybody was expecting. Anything like more than what anybody would have hoped for so soon and so quickly. I think it's easy for a manager to potentially come in where the place is bouncing and everything else. Where Andrew's come in and it was broken. It was so many pieces that he's had to put back together. But I know he referenced his time at Celtic and he said it was a similar situation there. And he very, very quickly picked up all the pieces and just put it all together. And they took the league by storm. When he was there and left Rangers for dead. So I think what he's done on the pitch has been brilliant. As we can all see, that's the sort of tangible thing for him. But then off the pitch, in terms of getting fans on side, David mentions there pretty much about our academy teams. That's all aligned now, which is a lot better. And I think the academy players are seeing pathways now into the first team. The likes of Ash Phillips, who, by the way, how on earth is he 18? Have you seen the size of him, Hollie? My goodness, he's nearly as big as the Ben. 18, but come in and you're thinking, well, is he going to be a 23s player? Is he going to be in the first team? It was kind of one of those in and out type situations, but again, Andrew's seen something in him and has put him in and around the first team squad straight away. You've got Velis, who's had little cameos on and off the bench in the last couple of games. So you're looking at now like the likes of Alfie Devine, who's obviously gone on loan, but when he comes back, can he be one to push perhaps James Maddison in that sort of 10 position? And I think that competition for places will be healthy. I think it's good that everybody now seems to be on the same page. Finally. And
I think that's the thing. I think it's the progression, like you said, from the youth academies are now all playing the same style of football. And it's the same with the ladies team as well. They're on fire. I know we watched what did I watch? I think it was the game after the last game of the season last season, and I love seeing Beth England. But it's nice now to see that we are kicking on this season as well in the ladies team. I know, Anthony, I know you can hear us. I don't think your camera on mic is still thingy. He's disappeared. I think he's going to try it again. That's the ambience from outside. But it is nice to see, isn't it? The fact that all of our teams, no matter whether it's women's, youth, the first team, are all playing this same style of football. I mean, have you watched much of the women's games so far? Because I know that with your coaching and stuff, you've always got a little eye on some of the women's players, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, well, I caught bits of the Chelsea game and thought, okay, this is going to be a really, really tough test because, Chelsea have been right up there at the top of the women's game for quite a long time now. Them, Arsenal, City, obviously with their budget and the players they can attract. United have been pushing and kind of making a bit of a top four out of it, if you like, in the last couple of years. But yeah, I thought that we did okay against Chelsea. I think with the women's side of things, in a game like that, I think you're just looking for the team to compete. And I think for large parts of it, we did do that. Obviously, they've got the quality. They've got world-class players, Chelsea, like to Lauren James and stuff like that, can turn a game on an absolute sixpence. We saw that in the Women's World Cup as well, and things like that. But no, I think it was nice for the girls to get a win on Sunday against Bristol City, I believe. Mm-hmm. See, knowledge, I'm getting there. So yeah, no, like I say, I always keep an eye out on the women's. Know one of the players, Ash Neville, as well. I'm like you, big fan of Beth England, especially when we watched in that sort of, well, when it was the last home game for the men's, and then the women's was on after. I was there going, like, Russo must be some centre forward, by the way, because she's keeping Beth England out of the England team. And Beth England, I was there like, I'd hate to play against her. That was the biggest compliment I could pay her, because I would hate. She doesn't give you a moment's peace as a defender. And a male equivalent, I guess. I know I don't. You shouldn't really compare, but I felt like she was like prime Suarez in the sense of on at you all the time, and like Carlos Tevez and things like that. So just, like I say, an absolute pest. And I'd, like I say, hate to play against Beth England. But I'm so glad that she is on our side, and she is a killer in front of goal as well. Sniffs out them little half chances and boom. And I think obviously it was her goals pretty much that kept us up last year. So hopefully now the women's can kick on and have a half decent season.
Definitely, and I think at the moment, obviously, Beth is injured, but she is captain of the side as well. So that is great. It's like I said, it's just nice for all of our teams to be playing this great football. And they're all it's a Tottenham side. We're playing the Tottenham identity. But Wes, we can keep blabbering on because bless Anthony, I think he's gone to try and to sort his camera out. Honestly, look at the state of my camera. I might as well not even have my face on the screen, lagging everywhere. But I'm trying to think of what other things to discuss. Is there anything that you have that you want to chat about? Is there anything in the chat that anybody wants to discuss or talk about? So, Wes, I'll let you fire away.
What were your thoughts about the Luton game? Talk to me. Because we've had my thoughts, we've had my analysis, but we need the Agenbar's breakdown of what she thought about the Luton away game.
Oh my days! It's been a little while since I've decided to give my thoughts on something. I think it's kind of like what you said. I don't think I can beat how well you put it together in terms of sentences. But I think it's just one of those games where these are the ones we have to win. Going away from home in a ground like Luton, without disrespecting them, they're the games we should be winning. Yes, it was a little bit of a struggle, and Basuma was a little silly boy, but we managed to get it over the line. And I think previous years that wouldn't have been the case. So I was very pleased getting 3 points. Just again, it's Spurs. They never do it easy and always give us stress levels through the roof. But it is what it is. So yeah, no, I was pleased, but yeah, can we do it a little bit more convincingly next time?
And how long did it take you to speak to Jay? Because I know this is a sore subject because Jay was in attendance at the Kenny. And you were obviously doing your thing on the live watch along and everything else, probably because Jay wasn't there.
Yep.
But, yeah, how long did it take you to speak to him? Because obviously you were annoyed that he was going.
To be honest with you, it was giving me so. The thing that really annoyed me was that he sent me a video of them all training because obviously he was in the away end, but he was right next to the Spurs away fan. Sorry. So he sent me a video of them all warming up, and I think I showed it on the live watch along. And then when you rewatch the goal back, well, no, actually, when you rewatch the clip that's doing the rounds of Pedro Porro, where he's screaming, if you zoom in and pause it, you can see Jason in the sideline, and I'm fuming because technically he's got a selfie with Pedro Porro, and I'm not happy about it. And when Mickey van der Ven scored as well, you can see him in the away end with his home end, with his hand over his mouth, trying not to celebrate. So I wasn't too pleased, to say the least. I gave him a little bit of silent treatment, and then I was like, actually, if I want dinner, I should probably talk to him.
Did he enjoy himself though? Did he go ham on the hospitality? Did he have it large?
Sadly, he wasn't actually in hospitality, so that was actually quite nice for me. So I liked that. But no, he did enjoy himself. I think the fact that he got to see Angeball in the flesh before me, I think he's gonna keep hold of that for a very long time. But I just want to bring this up for honestly, Andy, stop giving me super chats because I feel so bad that it's not working. I went out, came back in, set the camera and mic, still no luck. I'll just listen in and try it again next week. No, don't say sorry. I feel sorry. Stop sending super chats. You don't have to do that. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take it out with Streamlabs because changing more from this to that is, I don't know what's going on. Oh, and Jay showed his head. He said, cry more. Brilliant. Oh, dear. But no, he did have a good time.
That's the main thing. That's the main thing. I'm glad he enjoyed himself. What are your now hopes and feelings? I'm going to break it down into small chunks for you. So we've got this international break now. I believe there's one next month. What are you hoping for in between these two sort of international breaks? Forgive me, I don't know the full extent of the fixture list.
That's why.
But what are your sort of thoughts and hopes going into this next chunk of the season before the international break?
I think for me, and it's going to sound so cliche, it's to not pick up any injuries because I think we've seen if we lose Maddison for a little bit, it doesn't all collapse. It's just not as good, if that makes sense. He is literally like the lock picker, and we really need him to stay fit. I think if we just build on the momentum, and like we've already spoken about tonight, I hope that if we do pick up a loss, God forbid it, that we managed to kick on. I'm hoping that the way that everybody at the moment's got this togetherness, that it won't matter as much, if that makes sense, because we're like, right, okay, we'll move on to the next one, we'll improve on the next one. So for me, I think it's just building on momentum, but building on the style of Ange ball. And I don't think much else could go wrong. I mean, actually, I'm going to flip it on the side and ask you the same question, because I think that's quite a good one. Obviously, with the little in-betweeny bits, what's your kind of thoughts?
Well, we can win every game, can't we? Why not? I think injuries are a big one for us. Again, I'm speaking to a few people today at my uni event that support different teams. You're sort of saying to them like, yeah, your first 11's good, but what about your squad depth? It's all over the place. It's horrendous. So, if we lose a centre half, we're back to Eric Dyer, and they're looking at me and laughing, and I'm laughing with them and not at them. We lose Maddison. All right, we got Lo Celso, but it's not the same. Lo Celso doesn't. For me, he's a different type of midfield player to Madders. Madders is that silkiness, that Tottenham player. Those Mavericks. You look back through the years. We've had an Ericsson, we've had a Ginola, we've had a Sheringham. Maddison is in that ilk. We've had a Van der Vaart. You know what I mean? And Madders is definitely in that kind of mould. We still need a centre forwards, as I said earlier. But I think for us it is that squad depth and everything else. And I think if we can steer between these international breaks without any injuries, and then hopefully going into sort of that festive period relatively unscathed, I think we will be in a really, really good place. And we usually do quite well in and around Christmas as well. We usually hit a bit of form, so fingers crossed we can maintain that this time round.
I mean, Kevin has already said that I think there's about 7 players injured. Obviously, we haven't got Brendan Johnson, we haven't got Solomon, we obviously still haven't got Bentancur. There's still quite a lot of players that are still currently out. I mean, there's Sessegnon. I think Sessegnon's forever injured. But that's even before we pick up a slight knock with someone else. So it is at the moment something that we are struggling with.
Hollie, I have some news, because I read on Twitter, which is the main source for anything and everything, that Rodrigo, the Uruguay Moussa Dembele, Lolo, Bentancur will be back in a couple of weeks. So who knows?
My days, it's a Christmas miracle.
Even be on the bench by the time the Chelsea game comes around, if not a little bit before. So that might be an exclusive for you. Lolo is on his way back, which is a massive plus, because he's just going to add that little bit of extra spice to the Tottenham midfield. But then, who does he replace, Hollie? Who does he replace?
I think the thing is as well, not that I'm worried about it. I am praying to the football lords above that he is still the same Bentancur he was before that massive injury, because obviously that is quite a big injury to try and overcome. But like you said, I think he's still got it, man, and I'm sure he will still have it. It's just give him that time to get back into his rhythm of things. But like I say, who does he replace? Because we've spoken about it. We said that Sarr's been playing really well. And I know lots of people were giving him a lot of rubbish for his first half performance. But I think he actually played better when Basuma went off, because he was like, right, I need to actually do something. I need to do more. But Sarr's been excellent. Basuma's been excellent, apart from being a little bit of a silly boy. It's like, like I said, who comes out, who goes in?
Yeah, I think the most obvious answer would probably be Pap Sarr, but then you feel sorry for him because he's started this season like an absolute house on fire. He's giving everybody like Yaya Toure vibes. You know what I mean? Like, the guy's done nothing wrong. So it might be a case of just feeling Lolo back into the team, and then all of a sudden, it'll pick itself. But yeah, he has to come back into this team, man, because what a player, absolute steal as well from Juventus. And yeah, my favourite probably current Spurs player as well.
I wonder why.
He does remind me a little bit of Moose, but actually the game that probably solidified it for me was the City away game where we won in the last minute, Harry Kane header, 3-2. That is probably one of the best performances I've seen from a Tottenham midfield player. Or even a Tottenham player in general at a top 6 away game. everybody talks about Kane in that game, and yes, Kane was phenomenal. But Rodrigo Bentancur was everything that you would want a central midfield player to do. You hear Gary Neville talk a lot about pressure situations, being able to handle the ball and deal with it under pressure. He did that every single time because City were on him. There was at least 2 players around him all the time. But like he just brushed it all off and went, you know what, I'm going to do my thing, and got us playing in so many different situations. And it was nice because there was times probably during that season before he came where any other player in that situation was more get it, give it, I'll keep it safe, everything else. Whereas Bentancur was willing to take a risk. Not the best opposition to do it against by any stretch. But yeah, he was willing to take risks in that before. And I just went, wow, what a player. What a player. And yeah, my love for him has stuck like ever since.
Oh, I love it. But no, we like I say, we've got obviously that injury thing is something that's going to always bear on us. But like you said, we've got Rodrigo coming back now before Christmas, which is a Christmas miracle. So it's going to be interesting to see how the season carries on. But it's been a great show tonight, Wes. I think I'm going to wrap it up. I want to say again a big thank you to Anthony, because I don't know what's going on to why you can't get in. I'm going to do a little bit of Googling later to see, and then we'll definitely get you on first thing again next Wednesday. So thank you so much for your super chats, regardless. I feel really bad that you can't get in. But thank you so much. I'll make sure that we figure out why that is. But Wes, it's been a pleasure to have you on again as a co-host. So thank you very much. Where can everybody find you doing your thing?
Okay, here we go. Outro time. Your favourite bit of the show, I think, Hollie. So Twitter is @Wezo10, unofficial Moussa Dembele fan account. Tweeting all things mainly about the greatest of all time, Moussa Dembele, one of the best players I've ever seen in a Spurs shirt. So yeah, don't get too involved in any Twitter spats or anything like that, because I will lose my head. I think the last time I did, I got banned even, so that's why I stay relatively calm on Twitter now. Instagram @Wezo32. Usually see me at a Spurs game, although I wasn't at Luton, unlike some. Hey Jay. But yeah, I'm usually at a Spurs game, mainly the home ones in particular. So yeah, go with my dad all the time, who wasn't watching tonight, unfortunately. He's out.
He'll watch it back, man. He'll watch it back.
Yeah, he was enjoying himself a bit too much. I'll have to have a word with him about that. But yeah, like I say, usually at Spurs games with my dad, following our wonderful football club that gives us so much pain but so much joy at the same time as well. And then also have my own football coaching business in Milton Keynes area, Dele Alli country, for those people that don't know where Milton Keynes is, because yeah, he's literally what Milton Keynes is famous for, to be honest, Dele Alli. So yeah, Kickoff Football Academy or @KoForMK across your socials for all of that kind of stuff. We've got upcoming football camp in a couple of weeks' time. So yeah, really looking forward to that, and loads more other stuff coming as well. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that. And that, Hollie, is a wrap.
I love it, man. I like the added sprinkle of about your dad and that he's misbehaving tonight rather than watching Hot Pots. So I take that. But it's been a great show. Thank you, obviously, to Wes. Thank you to everybody that's tuning in. A big thank you to Anthony again for the super chats. And again, I feel awful because you can't get in, so that's why you sent them. But thank you so much. Thank you for putting up for my dodgy camera as well. I need to fix it. But apart from that, it's been great. It's been lovely. Same place again. This show will be every Wednesday, so make sure that you're in. Hopefully the links will work for those channel members so they can get on. So me and Wes can ask you lots of different questions. Obviously, there's no Hollie's Hotspurs live on Monday. I'm going to take a little break, so obviously there's no game. But next Wednesday, we'll be here again, same time, 7:30, same place. So make sure you're here for that one. And until next time, come on, you Spurs.